trying to make a Ganesh.
Are you following the video?
I'm following like 3. That's the tummy, that's the chest,
Yeah.
that's the legs I'm just working on.
Looks like it's coming now.
Yeah.
There's supposedly a heat wave going on right now, but it's not that hot. By the way, I played cricket almost after 8 years last weekend. This is something that I might be doing on a regular basis. To be honest, it was a very, very, very solid workout to the extent that I'm still aching, like my muscles are still aching, my back is still sore from that half an hour session. And in the first 3 balls, in the first 3 deliveries, I thought my arms are going to come off. It was terrible. But it was amazing to the extent that it felt really good to get back to it. Wow, that's coming along so well.
Right? Not bad, eh?
Alright, are you ready to see the final update on the Ganesha? I'll show you. What? That looks so good. God, this woman is creative. She can do anything. You know something? I think you're really, really creative. And I can't believe this is the first time you've made this. You've made this before, haven't you?
No.
You've done some clay modeling before,
I've played with clay, I've never modeled anything.
but never made a Ganesha.
No.
Wow. No, because you see how well the trunk is, the shape is perfect. Then that's a stole, right?
Yeah, that's like a decorative stole that goes around him.
Yeah.
And is that 1 foot facing the other way, 1 foot facing straight.
Yeah, and then
And he's
there's
got like
modak.
2 little modaks in his hand.
This is crazy.
And then he's got that little tika, and then he's got that little leaf behind his head. I think it was a lot of fun, and it took like, what, 45 minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me give you a little Ganesha update. We had a slight accident with the clay. The clay, so what happens is when it dries out, it shrinks. So that's what happened, and we lost a couple of parts of the Ganesha, but we managed to fix it. I'll show you. She's painting right now, and you can't tell that it's broken or that any part came off. I'll show you. So I mean, superstition dictates that you're not supposed to use an idol that's cracked or broken. But if you think about it, and that's what we thought. God's gonna be like, just because I was broken in a couple of places, you gave me up. So that's our way of justifying this, and we're continuing with the adventure. And now a quick word about why we do this. So we're not religious people. We essentially celebrate all festivals or all religions really. But the idea here is to sort of connect with the place that we come from and be spiritual. Yeah, and it's, you want to chime in here?
Yeah, I think it's through celebrating something.
Yeah.
All these little customs, and like I'm taking time out of my life to follow this the way it has been done for years. I think it's a bit spiritual. It takes me out of my head of everything that I want to and should do. Puts me in a place where I'm pursuing a celebration of anything. It's
Hold that thought.
It's like to pursue a celebration of anything is spiritual. It's like attracting good energy if I'm taking time out of my day specifically with the purpose of putting all the rituals together and to celebrate anything.
I think it's grounding also in a way.
Yeah, it's like...
Right?
Yeah, it's also a reason to celebrate with people, right?
Yeah,
Like whatever we cook,
exactly.
we'll go with friends and family, and
Yeah.
there's people that we know from Bombay that we'll be sharing the modak with.
Yeah.
So it's all about people at the end of the day.
I think that's a good way of looking at it. And then you get to eat food from these festivals. The thing with all festivals is that, not just Indian, with all festivals is that like they come with their own culinary experience, right?
Yeah, and you know what's even fancier?
Hold that.
The culinary experience is very seasonal. It works with the local economy. For example, in Diwali, there's a lot of dry fruits because it's cooling down and you need that energy. Right now, it is harvest season. There's a lot of corn and maize and coconut and good, and because sugar is being harvested and everything, everything seems
range, right?
to make sense. Yeah.
It's a whole 9 yards. Yeah, that's essentially what it is. Okay, that's the update on the tomatoes. Some red, some green, and
2 peppers.
pepper season is over now, I guess. We only have 2 here. One. This one is not in a good shape. Jasmine is almost dead, and that's not us. It's a season. Okay, let me show you what almost the final Ganesha looks like. I think it looks like a proper idol, yeah.
Yeah, but it's not done yet.
Looks absolutely legit.
It's not bad.
I don't think it's bad at all. Okay, you guys, can you tell if this had any chips or any?
It had a lot of chips.
It had a lot of
Not
chips.
even chips. Things just started falling off.
I'm glad we didn't discard.
Yeah.
Just went with it. Nice, good job. You know, I was getting really caught up with the whole analytics situation, and I realized that I'm not the only one. Anyone that starts out on YouTube is always worried about what the views are, the engagement and whatnot, and I was getting very bogged down. So I've just made a decision that it's not going to be. Like, I'll still look at my analytics, of course, but like I'm not going to get caught up in the whole web of analytics. I'm just going to create what I enjoy creating and keep doing it. What?
You know why this happened?
Why?
Spiritual. You're more spiritual because of Ganesha.
Yeah, it's all because of Ganesha. So that's just a thought. If you're starting out, you're gonna do the same thing. You're gonna look at your dashboard every day, 10 times every day, but it's not gonna pay off. You're not getting the views by looking at the dashboard. So yeah, that's it. All right, I will now see you tomorrow when we do a little puja and a special meal for Ganesh Chaturthi. So we'll see you tomorrow. For the life of me, I can't figure out how to wear these freaking headbands. I'm wearing the headband in all different ways in all different segments or sequences. Why is this so hard? Anyway, let me show you Modak. Shreya, we need to explain what Modak is.
Modak is like think of it as a sweet rice dumpling with coconut and jaggery or palm sugar. And it's steamed. I mean, technically it's gluten-free. Yeah.
That's beautiful, isn't it? Let's roll a time lapse of Modak making now. Alright, let's take a look at the final Modaks. Whoa. Nice. So the first Modak that you guys saw was a traditional Modak, and this one is a Mawa Modak.
It's basically milk fat. You sweeten it and flavor it.
But the filling is the exact same, right?
There's no filling. It is just small little candy.
There's no filling in this?
No, think of it as Indian confectionery.
Wow.
Oopsie.
So cute.
It's cute. It's got saffron and cardamom and
Fantastico. Alright, we're now gonna go say a little prayer, send some good vibes out there and eat some amazing lunch and Modak. Oh, wow. Shreya, this is genuinely tasty. It's not insanely sweet. I love this. Check this out. I do want to mention that these are recipes that anyone can do at home. If you want to find out more, just comment, if you want the recipe, I'll be happy to share Shreya's recipe. Yeah, overall, I think this was a lot of fun. The vibes are so good at this point. You'd agree, right? Wow, what a way to agree. Yeah, great vibes, and that's why we do all this. That's what festival lunches are supposed to look like. Puri, chole or chickpeas, sliced onions, of course, and homemade mango pickle, which you've seen in previous videos. I'm gonna spare you the chomping horror, and I'm gonna go enjoy my lunch. I hope you guys enjoyed this cultural vlog. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye.